The wedding invitation sat on my desk like a bomb. Cream cardstock, embossed gold letters. Melissa and James request the pleasure of your company. My sister, my fiancé. The worst part wasn't that they'd been sleeping together for 8 months. It wasn't even that my entire family knew and said nothing. It was the text from my mother at 11:47 p.m., the night I found out. Melissa really loves him. You need to be the bigger person here. Standing in my apartment, phone in one hand, engagement ring I'd just torn off in the other, I made a decision. If they wanted to play this game, fine. But they were about to learn. I don't lose. Rewind 6 months. I'm Emma, 28, Senior Marketing Director at a tech firm in Seattle. Not to brag, but I'd clawed my way up from unpaid intern to a 6-figure salary in 5 years. My life looked perfect on paper. Dream job, fiancé of 3 years, James 31, architect, close-knit family dinners every Sunday. My younger sister, Melissa, 25, was the family princess. Drama degree from a state school, worked part-time at a boutique, lived with our parents rent-free while finding herself. Where I was the responsible one, she was the creative soul. Where I paid my own way through college, she got the parental safety net. But that was fine. I loved my sister. James and I had been together since college. He proposed on a beach in Maui, whole 9 yards, photographer hidden in the palm trees, my favourite song playing. We'd set the date, June 14th, venue booked, dress bought, guest list finalised. I'd asked Melissa to be my maid of honour. She cried and hugged me. I'm so honoured, Em. You and James are perfect together. The first weird moment came in January. I walked into my apartment early, client meeting cancelled, and found James and Melissa on my couch. Nothing inappropriate, just close, her hand on his arm. Both jumped apart when I entered. We were just talking about the bachelorette party, Melissa chirped. My gut twisted, but I swallowed it. Don't be paranoid, Emma. That's your sister, your fiancé. February. James started working late, a lot. Big project, babe. This commercial building downtown. It's going to make my career. He'd come home at 11 p.m., exhausted, smelling like perfume? No, I was imagining things. Melissa suddenly became obsessed with helping with wedding planning. She'd drop by my office unannounced, look at seating charts and discuss flower arrangements. Always when James was texting me, always suggesting we grab dinner together, the 3 of us. James has such good taste. We should get his opinion on the centerpieces. March. My best friend Rachel pulled me aside at a happy hour. Her face was serious, uncomfortable. Emma, I need to tell you something. I saw James's car outside Melissa's yoga studio last week. At 9 p.m. The class ends at 7. My throat tightened. He was probably just picking her up. Rachel grabbed my hand. His car was there for 2 hours. I know because I was at the coffee shop across the street working on my laptop. I confronted James that night. He laughed it off. Babe, Mel called me and panicked because her car wouldn't start. I helped her jump-start it, then we grabbed food because she was stressed about some audition. You know how dramatic she gets. I didn't mention it because it was nothing. Plausible, reasonable. I wanted to believe him, but I started paying attention. James's phone, previously always face up on the counter, now face down. He changed his passcode. Work security requirements, he said. When Melissa called, he'd leave the room. Sunday dinners became awkward, inside jokes between them I wasn't part of. April 3rd, the night that changed everything. I came home from a work trip a day early. Surprise! I'd grabbed Thai food, James's favourite, planning a romantic evening. I opened my apartment door at 6:47 p.m. Melissa's laugh echoed from my bedroom. That specific giggle she does when she's flirting. I froze in the hallway, Thai food containers suddenly weighing 100 pounds. "We can't keep doing this," James's voice muffled. "Then tell her. God, James, you've been saying that for months." My vision tunneled. The floor tilted. I floated to my bedroom doorway. Pushed it open. They were clothed. That somehow made it worse. Sitting on my bed, legs intertwined, his hand cupping her face. Intimate, familiar, like they'd done this 1,000 times. They sprang apart. The shock on their faces would have been funny if my heart wasn't shattering in my chest. "Emma! Oh my God, you're not supposed to be back until tomorrow." Melissa's voice, high-pitched, not apologetic, annoyed at being caught. James stood up, hands out. "Babe, this isn't... We were just..." "How long?" My voice came out calm, dead calm. They exchanged glances. That's when I knew it was bad. 8 months, Melissa whispered. Then, "But Emma, you have to understand, we didn't mean for it to happen. We fell in love, real love, the kind you and James never had." I looked at James, the man I'd planned a life with. He couldn't meet my eyes. "I'm sorry," he muttered, "but Mel's right. What we have, it's different. It's real. I think I was with you out of habit, and with her because..." "Get out." "Emma, let's talk about this." "Get out." They left, together. James grabbed clothes from our closet when I stood there, numb. Melissa had the audacity to hug me on her way out. "I hope you can forgive us someday. Family is forever." I called my mother at 11 p.m., barely coherent. "Mom, James and Melissa, they've been... Mom, I caught them." Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then, "Oh, honey, we were hoping you wouldn't find out this way." The world stopped. "You knew?" "Melissa told us about her feelings for James around Christmas. Your father and we've been watching them together, and sweetheart, they really do have something special. You know Melissa has struggled to find her path. James makes her happy. And you're so strong, so successful. You'll find someone else." I couldn't breathe. "I'm engaged to him, Mom. The wedding is in 2 months. About that, Melissa is hoping you'll be understanding about cancelling. They'd like to use the venue date. Since it's already booked and paid for, and your father and I footed the deposit, it only makes sense." I hung up, threw my phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. At 11:47 p.m, my mother texted. To my work phone, since I'd destroyed my personal one, "Melissa really loves him. You need to be the bigger person here. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Family sticks together." I screamed into a pillow until my throat was raw. The next morning, I called in sick. First time in 3 years. Rachel came over with coffee and croissants, found me still in yesterday's clothes, eyes swollen. "They want me to give them my wedding date," I said, voice hollow. "My parents think I should be the bigger person." Rachel's jaw dropped, then hardened. "Fuck that. Fuck all of them. Emma, you need to go scorched earth." "What's the point? I lost. They won." "No," Rachel sat across from me, fierce. "You didn't lose. They cheated. And they're about to learn what happens when you mess with someone who's smarter than all of them combined." Something clicked in my brain. The fog lifted. I was Emma fucking Morrison. I'd negotiated $1 million contracts. I'd outmaneuvered corporate sharks. These idiots thought they could humiliate me, and I'd just take it? "Rachel," I said slowly, "I need your help." We made a list. Everything James and Melissa didn't know about me. 1. I'd been paying James's student loans for 2 years, $43,000 so far, From my personal account because he'd maxed out his credit cards on business expenses, aka drinks with the guys. 2. The apartment was in my name only. James wasn't on the lease. 3. I'd co-signed for his new car 6 months ago. That sleek BMW he loved. 4. Melissa had been borrowing money from me monthly, just until the boutique picks up, totaling $7,800 over the past year. 5. My family didn't know I'd been offered a major promotion. VP of Marketing, relocating to New York, starting in 3 months. The promotion. I'd been debating it because of James, because of the wedding. Now? I accepted the New York position that afternoon. Start date, July 1st. Then I hired a lawyer. Not for revenge, for protection. Lawyer's advice was gold. Document everything. Get proof of the affair. It might help with any financial entanglements. Don't leave the apartment or you might lose legal standing. And whatever you do, act normal until you're ready to strike. Acting normal was the hardest part. I called James. Calm. Measured. Can we talk? I overreacted. I think we can work through this. He came over that night, wary but hopeful. Stupid man thought I'd actually take him back. I recorded our conversation. Washington is a one-party consent state. So you and Melissa, I said gently, walk me through how it started. I need to understand. He spilled everything. How they'd first kissed at my birthday party in September while I was in the kitchen cutting cake. How they'd been meeting at hotels. How he'd told her he loved her in October, 2 months into their affair. How they'd laughed about me being clueless. But he said, grabbing my hands, if you can forgive me, we can forget this happened. Mel would understand. She's always been a bit flighty. Anyway, I smiled. I need a few days to think. Don't tell anyone we're talking. He agreed, kissed my forehead, and left, whistling. I immediately sent the recording to my lawyer. Sunday dinner, April 15th. I dressed carefully, professional slacks, silk blouse, hair perfect, makeup flawless. My parents' house smelled like pot roast. Melissa was already there, sitting at my usual seat next to James at the dining table. They both startled when I walked in. Emma? My mother's fake surprise. We didn't think you'd come. Wouldn't miss it. I smiled warmly, set down a bottle of expensive wine. Family is forever, right? Dinner was excruciating. Melissa and James kept exchanging nervous glances. My father cleared his throat 17 times. My mother overcompensated with chit-chat. During dessert, Melissa finally broke. I'm so glad you're here, because James and we wanted to ask you something. James pulled out a ring box. I watched detached as he got down on one knee in front of my sister, at our parents' dining table, where we'd eaten Sunday dinners for 28 years. Melissa gasped, cried, and said yes. My mother sobbed happily. My father clapped James on the back. No one looked at me. I'm so happy for you both, I said, still smiling. When's the date? Well, Melissa bit her lip, we were hoping, since you and James aren't using the venue anymore, June 14th is still available. Silence. They were all staring at me now. Of course, I said smoothly, but I have a few questions about logistics. Relief flooded their faces. James, how are you planning to pay for the venue, since the deposit was $8,000 and it's non-refundable? He blinked. Your parents paid the deposit. Actually, I did. Check the contract. It's in my name, my credit card. My father frowned. Now, Emma, don't be petty. And James, where are you planning to live? Since the apartment lease is solely in my name and expires in June, I'm not renewing. James went pale. What? Oh, didn't I mention? I'm moving. New job, New York. VP of Marketing at Corvus Tech, $240,000 salary, signing bonus, the works. I leave on July 1st. My mother set down her wine glass. Emma, what are you doing? I'm being a bigger person, Mum. I'm giving them clarity. I turned to Melissa. Mel, about that $7,800 you borrowed from me, I'll need that back within 30 days. I have all the Venmo receipts and your text messages promising to repay me. Melissa's face crumbled. You said I could take my time. That was before you started sleeping with my fiancé. Consider it a deadline. I don't have that kind of money. Not my problem. James stood up, angry now. Emma, you're being a bitch about this. Interesting choice of words. James, remember those student loans I've been paying? The $43,000 worth? I stopped payments 3 days ago. Your next bill is due in 2 weeks. Hope you have savings. His face went white. Those were gifts. Actually, I pulled out my phone. I have all our text messages where you specifically said you'd pay me back when the big project comes through. That's a loan agreement. My lawyer is prepared to pursue collection if necessary. You wouldn't. And that BMW you're so proud of, I co-signed for it. One missed payment and my credit gets dinged. So I called the dealership yesterday and removed myself as co-signer. They ran your credit independently. Turns out you don't qualify a loan. You have 10 days to refinance or they repossess the car. James sank into his chair. The colour had drained completely from his face. Now, I continued, voice calm, detached, about the wedding venue. Since the contract and deposit are in my name, I called them this morning. The date is no longer available. I booked it for a corporate event. But they have an opening in November, on a Tuesday. If you'd like, I can forward you their contact information. Emma Morrison, that is enough. My father, red-faced, furious. You will not speak to your sister and James this way. This is a family, and families support each other through difficult transitions. Difficult transitions. I laughed, hollow. Dad, she fucked my fiancé, in my bed, for 8 months, and you all knew. Watch your language. No, you watch yours, because here's the thing about family. It's supposed to be a two-way street. You support me, I support you. But when you chose her happiness over my dignity, you broke that contract. My mother is crying now. We thought you'd understand. You're so strong, so independent. You don't need us like Melissa does. You're right, I said softly. I don't need you, and that's the most freeing realization I've ever had. I stood up, grabbed my purse. Wait, Melissa whispered. You can't just leave like this. We're sisters. We're sisters, past tense. Emma, please. She was full on sobbing. I made a mistake. I got caught up. James pursued me and I was weak and… Don't. I held up a hand. Don't rewrite history. I heard the recording, remember? You told James you loved him in October. You laughed about me being clueless. You specifically said I never satisfied him like you do. So no, you weren't weak. You were cruel. James found his voice. If you do this, if you actually collect on those loans and fuck up my credit and take the venue, you'll ruin our lives. Yes, I agreed. That's the point. But I loved you. No, you didn't. You loved my money, my apartment, my stability. You loved that I made your life easy while you coasted. But actual love? That requires respect. And you never respected me. I looked at my parents. I'll come by next week to get my things from the garage. Please don't contact me unless you're ready to offer a genuine apology. Not a sorry you're hurt apology, but an actual acknowledgement that what you did was unconscionable. I won't hold my breath. You're going to regret this. My father stood up, shaking. when you're alone in New York, when you realize you threw away your entire family for pride. I'm not throwing away my family. You threw away your daughter, the one who had her shit together, the one who never asked for anything. You chose the princess over the workhorse, and now you're stuck with the consequences. I walked out, didn't look back. The next 6 weeks were chaotic. For them, not me. James called 47 times the first week. I blocked his number. Melissa showed up at my office twice. Security escorted her out both times. My mother sent long, rambling emails about forgiveness and Christian values and how I was destroying the family. I auto-filtered them to a folder I never opened. But here's what I did. Moved out of the apartment 3 weeks early, broke the lease, didn't care about the penalty. Sold all of James's stuff he'd left behind, his golf clubs, his record collection, his stupid craft beer brewing kit, donated the money to Planned Parenthood. Sent formal demand letters for the $7,800 from Melissa and the $43,000 from James. When neither paid, filed small claims court paperwork. You can only sue for $10,000 max in Washington's small claims, but it was about the principle. Started therapy, best decision ever. Threw myself into work, exceeding every metric for my final 3 months. Planned my move to New York with military precision. Rachel helped me pack. We drank wine, ate pizza, and laughed at all the memories. You know they're imploding, right? She said, showing me her phone. Melissa's Instagram had gone private. James had deleted all social media. Apparently they'd had a massive fight at a restaurant. Someone Rachel knew had witnessed it. Something about money and stress, and whose fault it was that I'd turned vindictive. They're blaming each other, Rachel grinned. It's beautiful. The small claims court date arrived the week before I left for New York. The courthouse was depressing. Fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, the smell of old coffee. Melissa showed up in a dress that screamed, sympathy vote. James wore a suit, probably borrowed, slightly too big. They sat together, whispering, shooting me dirty looks. The judge was a tired-looking woman in her 50s. Morrison versus Morrison and Chen, she called. I presented my evidence. Venmo receipts, text messages, bank statements showing the student loan payments with James's explicit promises to repay. The judge looked bored until she read some of the texts. Mr. Chen, you wrote, "You're a lifesaver, babe. I promise I'll pay you back when the Riverside project closes. Is this your phone number?" Yes, but... And Ms. Morrison, she turned to Melissa, you wrote, I'm so broke, can you spot me $400? I swear on my life I'll pay you back. 8 times, with variations. Melissa squirmed. Those were gifts between sisters. The plaintiff has texts from you explicitly using the word borrow and pay back in 23 separate messages. That's not a gift language. That's loan language. The judge ruled in my favor. Full amount for Melissa's $7,800. For James, the small claims cap meant I only got $10,000 of the $43,000, but I didn't care. As we left the courtroom, James grabbed my arm. Happy now? You got your petty revenge. Hope it was worth losing your family. I pulled my arm free. James, you fundamentally misunderstand the situation. This isn't revenge. Revenge would be telling your boss about the 3 months of time you falsified on your timesheets last year. Revenge would be telling Melissa's employer about the merchandise I watched her steal from their boutique. Revenge would be posting every detail of your affair on social media for your 800 friends to see. His face went slack. This? I gestured to the courthouse. This is just me collecting debts owed. What you're experiencing isn't my cruelty. It's the natural consequences of your actions. You just never had to face those before. I walked away. For the last time. New York was everything I needed. Corvus Tech was challenging, exciting, fast-paced. My apartment in Brooklyn was tiny but mine. No ghosts, no memories. I made new friends, started dating casually, took myself to Broadway shows. I ate incredible food, walked through Central Park on Sunday mornings, the time slot previously reserved for family dinners. I was happy. Genuinely, surprisingly happy. 6 months in, Rachel visited. We got brunch in the West Village, about everything and nothing. "Have you heard?" she asked carefully, like she wasn't sure she should tell me. "Heard what?" "Melissa and James broke up. Apparently, once the stress of money and housing hit, they realized they had nothing in common. James moved back in with his parents. Melissa's working 2 jobs to pay off her debt to you. Your parents, they're finally getting that maybe they fucked up." I sipped my mimosa, looking out at the Sunday morning crowd. Felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sadness, no anger, just peace. "Good for them," I said, and meant it. "That's it? After everything?" "Rachel, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting them to die. They're living their consequences. I'm living my dreams. We're not in each other's stories anymore." She raised her glass. "To new chapters." "To new chapters," I echoed. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I got an email. My mother. Subject: "We owe you an apology." I stared at it for a long time, hand hovering over the mouse. Then I closed my laptop. Maybe someday I'll read it. Maybe someday I'd respond. But that day wasn't today. Today I had a city to explore, a life to build, and a future that was entirely mine. The thing about betrayal is that it shows you who people really are. Not who you hoped they'd be, not who they pretended to be, but who they truly are when their comfort matters more than your pain. My sister stole my fiancé. My family chose her happiness over my dignity. But in doing so, they gave me the greatest gift: freedom. Freedom from obligation. Freedom from one-sided relationships. Freedom from being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who always understood. Did I get revenge? Maybe. Depends on your definition. I got my money back. I protected my assets. I moved forward. They got each other and realized that a relationship built on betrayal can't withstand the weight of real life. I call that justice. And I call my new life in New York. That's called winning.